to another edition of Did You Know Doctor Who, which you may not know about Doctor Who. This time we're going to have a look at the Terror of the Autons. I hope you enjoy. This story is the debut of the Master. It is also the debut of Joe Grant and Mike Yates. For the new season, producer Barry Letts and script editor Terence Dix wanted to add new characters. They thought about how the Brigadier was like Dr. Watson to the Doctor's Sherlock Holmes, and decided to devise a new character, the Master, to emulate Moriarty. The Master was meant to specifically contrast with Pertwee's Doctor. The Doctor was authoritative, while the Master was charming, though he used that for an evil purpose. The scene at the start of episode 3 where an Auton is hit by a car and tumbles off a cliff was quite real. Dinny Powell was driving the vehicle in place of actor Richard Franklin, and stuntman Terry Walsh playing the Auton fell further down the slope than intended, being injured in the mishap. He nevertheless got back to his feet in the same take as planned. On the first day of filming, Katie Manning injured all the ligaments in her foot when jumping out of a car and running across a quarry. Meanwhile, Nicholas Courtney was ill during the first day of filming. Certain scenes in the serial, particularly the killer doll and the Auton policeman, caused controversy in the press as it was too frightening for children. In an unconnected House of Lords debate about the effect of mass media on the public, the serial was cited as an example of a program that might be too scary for younger children. The Autons were brought back as they were a massive hit in their previous story. However, this would be their last appearance until the very first episode of the revival era, Rose. This story is notable for not giving a screen credit to its director. It was in fact directed by the show's then producer Barry Letts, but the BBC staff regulations in the 1970s prohibited a staff producer from also receiving a screen credit for directing. This was one of the ways in which producers were discouraged from engaging themselves to direct the programs they produced, as this was potentially open to abuse. The story had the working title The Spray of Death. It was changed when it was pointed out that the plot element of plastic flowers was not introduced until the third episode. There was originally a sequence in episode 3 where an unsuspecting policeman stumbles upon the Auton coach and is murdered after discovering that the Daffodil Men aren't human. Bill McGurk, who played the unfortunate constable, was also listed in the credits, despite all of his material winding up on the cutting room floor. In the scene where the troll doll attacks Joe, Barry Letts had intended to film a shot of the doll running across the workbench. However, Tommy Reynolds passed out during the intense heat of being in the costume, and so this idea had to be abandoned. When Michael Wisher died in episode 4, his motionlessness was so convincing that the Kree briefly wondered if the heat of the mask he was wearing had made him pass out. Barry Letts remarked in the DVD commentary that following the cliffhanger where the Doctor and Joe discovered the policemen who saved them are Autons, he received a letter of complaint from Scotland Yard. In the original script, the Master's bomb went off when the Doctor tried to open the box by remote control. Terence Dix reworked it to make Joe more prominent. Initially, the troll dolls played a much greater role in the story's climax and explained the Master's interest in the circus, which would have been used to distribute the toys. Originally, it was the Brigadier who was strangled by the phone cord as he tried to tell the police the truth about the troll dolls. The Master originally used an Auton disguised as himself as a decoy in the climax. The story originally ended with the Doctor avowing that the Master would stay on Earth until I destroy him, or until he destroys me. The BBC's head of serials, Ronnie Marsh, objected to this as it made the Doctor seem too bloodthirsty. So it was changed to the Doctor saying that he is looking forward to their next encounter, which makes him seem callous considering the carnage. Robert Holmes claims that the basics for the serial were all around him. A degenerate company was giving away flowers. He remembers warnings about plastic bags killing children, and plastic chairs and ugly troll dolls were all the rage. Robert Holmes was reluctant to write the serial as he disliked reusing old monsters, preferring to create new ideas for each story. The Time Lord originally explained to the Doctor that the Master had been helped to escape imprisonment. Fans voted this 45 in the countdown of the 163 best Doctor Who stories. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoy. Terror of the Autons is a fantastic story to begin with. It's also a great introduction to the Master, who is one of the best Doctor Who villains of all time. And of course, Roger Delago is probably one of the best Masters out there. He just steals the role, and really, there's not really been another Master that has ever encapsulated Roger Delago's Master, who is, in my opinion, the single best Master out there. It's a shame his career was cut so short, because I think it would have been fantastic to see Roger Delago's Master return with Tom Baker, etc., etc. As for the Autons sort of take a back seat in this story. Even though it's called Terror of the Autons, I always felt like the Autons were given a bit of a back seat compared to their other story, which is, full-on Auton focused. It is a shame that the Autons never reappeared after this, because I think they're such a fantastic enemy for the Doctor to face, especially because they could literally just be a random mannequin or a doll or anything. I do like the fact that this particular story grows the Auton sort of it sort of evolved the Autons a bit, so they could be little dolls, they can be disguised as people, and of course plastic people in terms of the policemen and all that. They can just be anywhere and anyone, and that's really fascinating. And it's a shame that no other Doctor Who really doesn't capitalize on these things. Like, the Autons could be used in so much more. Rose was a good story, don't get me wrong, to introduce the world of Doctor Who to new fans, and of course have an old enemy in the Autons. But at the same time, the Autons really haven't made much of an appearance afterwards. They appeared in The Big Bang as those Roman soldiers, but that's about it. It's a real shame, because I think the Autons as an idea, as a concept, is a really, really good idea. I mean, my god, the doll idea could be used quite well, in fact. It's just such a fascinating concept, in my opinion. And of course, the Master, wonderful as always. Roger Delago's Master is fantastic, and of course, John Pertwee is great. This is also the first appearance of Jo Grant, who is a wonderful companion. I absolutely love Jo Grant. I think she's fantastic. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Did You Know Doctor Who, and I'll see you next time.